Hey, happy Wednesday, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. Here I am, back again, talking into my phone like a crazy person. But I you know what? I don't really care if anybody listens to this or not. I'm trying to just be authentic, and I really just hope that it makes me feel good, and I hope that people who listen to this, take something away from it because, I try to be as real as possible. And I'm sorry about my voice. So basically, I was performing last night at the Brea Improv. I was working with this guy named Brian Swinehart, this comedian, and I was doing Bobby Con. And if you watch my old act, I was really good about the silences and just kind of being myself. Bobby Con, I'm still kind of figuring out, and my problem is I push way too much. So I'm afraid of the silences, and the result is if I do a long set, I'll lose my voice. So my voice is gone. There you go. So I thought, hey, this would be a great opportunity to do another recording, or podcast, whatever you want to call this. So here we go. I thought I would talk to you today about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because I know it's a huge thing right now. Everyone's doing it. I don't know where actually I do know where it came from. MMA is huge, right? MMA has kind of taken off, but also this guy named Joe Rogan is a huge podcaster. And he's a black belt from the 10th Planet School. It's a no-gi jiu-jitsu school. And he talks about it all the time on his podcast. And it's so weird because I go to these comedy clubs now and I see all these comedians doing jiu-jitsu like they just started, which is great. I think exercise is awesome in general. I think everyone should, do something just to, get moving. It's just a great mental thing. But I don't want to seem like I just started doing it because everyone else does it. I started doing it 5 years ago, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I got into it and the benefits because I think it's pretty cool to explore. And look, I'm not like 25 years old. I got into it kind of late in the game, but I'll tell you exactly what happened. So basically, never did any martial arts at all. I was physically active. I used to live in the gym. I loved running and, light weights. Like I was just a gym rat because I felt like, I started doing cross country in high school and I was a big tennis player. So I just kept it up after college and just kept working out consistently. And I've talked about this before, but, I went through this really dark time in my early 30s and I just needed to change things up. I was like, I got to change things. And I started like meditating. I took this transcendental meditation course. And there was like this jiu-jitsu gym by my house on Holloway. Not to tell you where I live, but I live by Holloway in La Cienega. And it was called Hollywood Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I used to walk by there all the time. And one time I walked by there and I was just curious. And there's a guy outside and he was like, hey, do you want to... This is how they lure you in. There's a guy working there. And I was like, I just quit working at UTA, the talent agency. And I was like, okay, I'll come in. And I'm pretty physically strong where I was. And the guy was like, showed me some stuff, some jiu-jitsu stuff. And I was kind of like wrestling with him. Man, this guy treated me like a baby. I swear to God, he could have killed me on the mat. And I had no idea what the hell. I was like, this is like a superpower or something. And I was just thought, this was cool. Also, let me backtrack. I forgot this. So basically, I was working out a lot and I got this problem in my leg. I had this compartment syndrome in my leg where they had to operate my leg and I couldn't do anything for I think 3 or 4 months. So I was out. And then when I came back to the gym, it was like being at zero again. I was like, holy shit, this is ridiculous. And I spent all this time like getting in optimal shape. And then I was out and I was starting back from, I had like all this fat on me and I had to like, burn that off. And it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I spent all these years working out. And, you really don't learn anything. It's just exercise. So I thought, jiu-jitsu, actually, you learn stuff and you exercise. So that was the appeal. So I signed up for a class. I was like, okay, I'll come in. And basically, there's like a belt system, but it's not like, I remember I took Taekwondo when I was like 12. And if you're like you do Taekwondo, and you're like a kid, they give you like a black belt in like 2 years. Man, jiu-jitsu is not like that. Basically, I don't know the history of this, but I think it's from Brazil. And Brazilians who brought it to America, They are hardcore. They do not give out belts easily. And the big difference from what I've learned over the years, it's like any other martial arts, like, you take a karate class and you hit, mitts or pads or whatever. Jiu-Jitsu, you actually spar with people in the class and you tap out when you come close to quitting. So basically, when you're about to choke out or pass out, you tap. So people are basically, you're on the verge of dying a couple of times a class. It's safe. You just got to tap out, which means you got to, hit the mat or you say tap. So it was interesting. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And, the first 6 months of jiu-jitsu, it's brutal. My God, I almost quit. By the way, I worked at Primary Wave, which was a management company. And our client was Sean Patrick Flannery, right? And Sean Patrick Flannery is a movie star. He was in Boondock Saints. And he also owned a jiu-jitsu school. And he taught there. He's a black belt at the school. So it was cool, like, I knew Sean from work and the school. So that was a big appeal too, because I know Sean's an amazing guy. And I would have never gotten into jiu-jitsu if it wasn't for Sean. So he was my first instructor at Hollywood Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I started as a white belt, and it was interesting to see that because when you go to the school, like everyone, there's some jocks there, but everyone's pretty cool. Like, and I think what's cool about it is for most people, like guys who have egos, if they get tapped out, these big jock guys, then they quit because they can't take, losing. So a lot of these guys who are pretty far up in the jiu-jitsu gym, they're just like normal dudes. Like, they're accountants and, they've got good jobs and, you have some jocks here and there, can meathead guys, but like for the most part, it's pretty even keel. These guys are just, like me, I'm a even keel dude. And I that was the appeal too. I was like, wow, these are actually, the people I would hang out with. And also it was really a group of people for the most part, except for like Sean, there were a few actors here and there, people who were not in show business, which was a big appeal to me. Like, oh my God, these are people who know nothing about acting or comedy. And I could just go there and just, release for, an hour, 2 hours, whatever the classes were. And it was cool. It was like right by my house. So I would do this like at least three times a week. I just go train jiu-jitsu. And again, the first 6 months to a year, brutal, because you have no idea what the hell's going on. Remember, I used to get injured so much because you're just trying to survive. Basically, the first year is about survival and learning how to breathe. And that's why when people come into my class, I try to be so helpful to new students. I never go full force on them. I'm just like, hey, dude, because I know how scary it is to come in. I don't care how big you are, how old you are, who you are. It's scary coming in here and not knowing any jiu-jitsu, and all of a sudden this guy's doing a bunch of tricks and he's choking you out in like 10 seconds. It's scary. So I was scared. And for some reason, I remember my girlfriend at the time, she was like, why are you doing this? Quit. This is insane. Because I'd come back and like lie on the floor because I was so injured. My back was all messed up. But I don't know. I couldn't quit. I have a problem quitting things, especially when it's challenging. Like I have to keep doing it. So I kept doing it. And lo and behold, Sean Patrick Flannery ended up selling the gym or incorporating another guy into the gym. His name was Rodrigo. And, Rodrigo brought the gym to a new location. And that location was on La Brea and Sunset. That's where I train now. If you want to stalk me and kill me, you can find me there at the gym. I'm usually there a couple times a week. But that's when I was like, all right, am I serious about this? And because now it's like 20 minutes away from my house. Before it was like really accessible. And Rodrigo gave me my blue belt. So basically, there's a belt system. There's a white belt, there's a blue belt, purple, brown, and black belt. And I currently am like a 4-stripe blue belt, which is like an advanced, like super advanced beginner. I guess I should be a purple belt, but I kind of go on my own pace, and I'm really confident where I am. Especially it's my level. I feel like I'm no longer scared. I feel like I'm pretty confident. I can handle my own against upper belts. But it's not really about that. It's really about just getting better 1%. A black belt told me that once. He was like, just get better 1% and you'll be fine. And don't put any stress on yourself. And I took part in 2 tournaments. And the first tournament, I got smoked. I lost every single match. And the second one, I came in second place. So I felt good about that. And that was a blue belt tournament. So, it is what it is. So now I've been going pretty consistently. And here are the benefits. So here are the benefits that I like to just think about. And I just got back from a class, so it's really fresh in my mind. To this day, I still get pushed pretty hard. Like, it's the only thing. I don't know if people ever do like spin class or any type of. I remember I played tennis, but the great thing about tennis was when you get to a certain point, you can control the other opponent, right? Unless the other opponent is like a really, really good. Like I'm a pretty decent tennis player, and if you get to a certain point, you can control the other person. Where you don't have to really run around the court, right? You can just start spinning shots and dictating the pace of it. Jiu Jitsu, you can do that too, but you're always pushed, right? You're at a point, like even today, I was at a point where I was like, dude, I'm about to collapse. Like this is just, I'm pushed to the edge right now. And I feel like when someone's about to kill you, when you have that, you're just so present. Like all you can think about is, man, how do I get out of this situation? It teaches me, and it's different for everybody, but it taught me like, all right, I'm in a really bad situation, but guess what? I can get out of this. 1, 2, 3, here are the steps. I can get out of this and escape, and I can potentially regain control of this situation and win. So I try to think about that whenever I'm in a bad spot in my life. I'm like, okay, I'm in a bad place, but guess what? I can escape from this, and I can reverse this, and I can win. So I'm sure you guys noticed that I make a lot of content. And the reason why I do that is because one thing that drives me insane just with, whether it's people, whether it's, work, you can't control what people, do to you or say to you, whatever, but I can definitely control what I do for myself. So that's why I'm always outputting a lot of work, because I feel like I have a lot of control over that, and that makes me happy. So the jiu-jitsu stuff, it's really good. And also, it's a great networking thing. Let me tell you, there was this guy in my class named Tim Davis, and he's a black belt. And dude, this guy got me a feature movie. It was my biggest movie role. The movie hasn't come out yet. I did this movie last year with Mira Sorvino, and Tim Davis was a star of it, and another star, I forget his name. And he got me a 2-line thing, and then they saw my reel, and they upgraded me to a major part in the movie. I have 2 big scenes as a doctor. My name's Dr. Marar or something. And I would have never gotten that through jiu-jitsu. Another thing, which there's a guy who's doing real estate, and I'm trying to get in with him so I can shoot videos for his real estate company. So it's just a great, I'm not doing it to, get acting parts and work, but it just happens organically, because I feel like, especially when jiu-jitsu, you have to have this trust, which is the number one thing. There's this trust in your, I guess, not colleagues, but you get it, coworkers, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know what the term is, but there's a trust when you have your life in their hands, right? You have to. There's a certain likability. So I really love all those guys. In fact, I rarely go out and hang out and waste my time. I feel like it's a waste of time hanging out with people. I will always hang out with those jiu-jitsu guys. Sometimes you'll see my Instagram, and I'm out at some ice cream shop or Acia Bowl. It's a Brazilian dessert place where we go to after class, because those guys are solid and they don't care what the hell I do. That's the best thing about it. There is zero judgment. I could be a greeter at Walmart and they wouldn't care. They just respect you as a person. So, again, if you are interested in jiu-jitsu, that's why I like this whole jiu-jitsu thing right now. I try not to. I see a lot of comedians, talking about it and trying to get into it. And here's the reality of it, though. If you're gonna do it, it's very easy to quit. It's so hard, especially the first year when you don't know what you're doing. It's so easy to quit, and it's hard for girls too. Because I get it. If you're a girl, you come to these gyms, and it's all these guys, and these guys like groping you and stuff. I mean, it's not fun. So there's got to be a trust factor. So it's really easy to get into. A lot of these gyms, they're expensive, but they let you try out a class and go from there. I mean, there's so many gyms in Los Angeles. There's Cobrina's. There's Hollywood Brazilian Jiu Jitsu where I go. It's like 5-star, and it's really taught by these top Brazilian Jiu Jitsu practitioners. These guys was my coach, right? Currently, his name's Professor Neto, and he's a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu guy. And this guy is like a champ. He like wins every tournament, and he is awesome. Like, he is an awesome dude. And again, if you follow my Instagram, you see this guy just smoke me in like literally 2 minutes. And I've been training for 5 years, and this guy just crushes me. It's like rolling with the Brazilian kingpin or something. So so there you go. That is jiu-jitsu. Hopefully, I'll tell you a fun story. I've never really gotten into a fight before, and nor do I ever want to get into a fight. This is the one thing this jiu-jitsu has taught me is fighting is the dumbest thing possible. Because one, you don't know what the other guy knows. Because I've seen guys come to my class and look like kittens, and these guys are killers. You just don't know what anyone knows. And that's why now I'm really suspicious when I see somebody walk. I've had guys come into my gym. Like, in fact, like last week, there's like a wrestler guy. He was like 4 years college wrestling. He came in, and they were like, Tarun's roll with this guy. And this guy would have destroyed me on the mat probably, 6 years ago. And it was totally easy. It was fine because I just knew jiu-jitsu. It's not that I'm a better athlete than this guy. I just know what I'm doing in the mat. If it's a fight, who knows what would have happened. But on the mat, jiu-jitsu-wise, it was a cakewalk. Not to pat myself on the back, but I put in the work. I put in the hours. So, it's that kind of, those are the results. And I saw the results. It's hard for me to really gauge who I am compared against people in my class. But it's really an astounding thing. So I remember I was in Philadelphia, and I was with this girl, and this guy, I guess I must have like stepped on his foot or something, and he just pushed me really hard from behind. Like he wanted to throw down in that club because this girl was there. And I just like measured him up, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to walk away from this. But there was no fear. There was absolutely zero fear. Because I was like, okay, well, if he does take me down or if he does something, I totally have been on the mat. I've been on the ground before. I know, there's some self-defense stuff, punches, all this stuff you cover in class. Again, not saying I'm Superman or whatever, but it does give you a sense of just confidence if you're in that situation. And I just said, hey, I'm sorry. And I walked away, and that was it. That was the end of it, because I never want to be in a fight unless I really have to. So, there you have it. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's awesome. I'm in pain right now. I'm sure you guys can tell. I'm just, so if you got to go through the pain. But look, anything's hard, right? You got to go through, I really believe you got to go through the trials and tribulations if you want to get better at anything. That's just the way life is. And check it out. I hate how I always say check it out at the end of every single one of these podcasts. But have a great day, guys. See you later. Bye.